6 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. All right. And so we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Next, we'll move to Section 3B of the agenda, and that is to report on action taken in closed session. So in closed session, the board approved the following confidential student matters. Student matter number 1, student number ending in 30123, and student matter number 2, student number ending in 62408. The next matter in closed session, there was a vote 5-0. The board approved the resignation agreement with a classified employee number EF6797486. The effective date of the resignation is June 9th, 2023. Now we'll move to Section 3C, which is the public comments section. And before I start with that, I want to report that due to an internet service interruption at our offsite data center, the board meeting this evening cannot be live streamed. District personnel will record the meeting and post it on the ESUSD YouTube page in a few days. So at this time, we have 30 minutes for public comments. We will read the Let's see how many cards we have. Hold on. Okay, we have 11 cards, and we'll start with Chris Hall, and it's 3 minutes.
Board members and super. Did it? Nailed it. All right, good start. Board members and Superintendent Moore, thank you for your time today. When Dave Klude of Actis Consulting was hired for the second time, I was concerned we'd find ourselves in a situation just like this. I was, however, greatly encouraged when I read the superintendent's message in February. It read, and I quote, "Please know that before enacting any change in current practice, ESUSD wants to gather input from all of our stakeholders. Parents, faculty, and staff will be invited to complete a survey to garner input regarding safety on each of our campuses. Your input, meaning ours, and feedback will be critical as we evaluate the recommendations to determine key priorities." In February, I came and I heard Dave speak, and I was concerned because when he was saying it seemed pretty clear he was going to recommend either parents off a campus or closing the California gate or both. But I was once again encouraged by the words of President Wheaton, who said regarding the survey, "So the purpose of that, meaning the survey, is to have the community weigh in as well to give their feedback, and then we'll take that, and then that's when the coffee chats and various activities will happen, so that we are having this partnership that is not just being pushed out, but is really going to be an opportunity where we take your," meaning Dave Klug's, report to the market, we circulate it, we talk about it, and then after that, then we'll discuss what's going to be implemented. The answer to that question that you asked was yes, it's exactly what we're going to do. And then you said, and I quote, "So this will be my one plea to the community, that when the survey comes out, please take a moment to participate and have your voice heard. It is being issued so that we can hear your voice." Well, the survey came out, we voted against it. Then you sent another survey that was both misleading, you can't ensure safety by removing parents, and totally biased, and you still had people voting no. What did you do? As to use your own words, you pushed it out to kick us off campus. Now, as you can probably hear in my voice, despite my extreme frustration at what felt like a bait and switch, I understand where you're coming from. A security consultant told you needed to do this to protect the school. Are you liable if the worst happens if you don't do this? How do you sleep at night? So I want to say that rather than disregard the recommendation, delay implementation pending the following information from Actis Consulting. 1, What is the risk of an active shooter on campus? Not gang violence, not jilted lovers, active shooter. 2, how much will moving parents reduce that risk? That's the benefit of a cost-benefit analysis. 3, what harm will removing parents do to the community? I will point out that not 1, but 2 members of the board were crying in the May meeting because they saw how sad this would be. Let's not pretend there aren't downsides here. That would be the cost. And then ask him to weigh in detail the cost and benefits, a cost-benefit analysis. Board member Miller-Zarnicki, I'm sorry if I get that, Tracy, is fond of saying, when you know better, you do better. If you can't tell us how much increased safety this will provide for our students and how that weighs against the loss of community, then you don't know better. All we're asking is that you stick to your own mantras. Listen to the community and know better so you can do better.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to Bill Brumman.
Hi, I'm Bill. When my youngest child graduates from high school in 2036, I will have spent 31 continuous years of my life with a child in this district. I have a vested interest. You know, I'd written down a good list of comments and points regarding the board's decision last meeting to adopt all the security recommendations, and how the board has created a battle between the parents and the district and school. So just so we can continue a 74-year-old tradition of walking our kids to their classroom at Center Street. But then on Sunday, I spoke with several parents that have pulled their kids out of the district for various reasons and placed them in other educational environments. They're not talking about fighting for such a simple thing. They're talking about their kids and how they're thriving in classes our district and schools don't even offer. About how their children have educational opportunities ours don't. About how the teachers and administrators are focused on improving each individual student. They are working with parents for the educational benefit of each student. They are focused on maximizing the time they have to broaden and enrich the learning environment. So let's focus on that at Center Street. Let's not waste another moment for our children who lost so much of their prime education time during COVID. Education is like investing. Compounding takes time. The earlier you invest, the more time you have to build your wealth. Let's focus on accelerating and challenging our kids by providing them more exposure to subjects in the classroom like Spanish at a very young age. The financial life skills of accounting, coding, business, and of course, mandatory Spanish for kids kindergarten to 5th grade, please. For the next school year, others have talked about simply walking their kids to the classroom, daring the district to have them arrested by the cops back here, or pulling their kids out of school en masse, and getting media attention to pressure the district to come to a compromise to allow the parental drop-off and pick-up we've enjoyed at Center Street for 3/4 of a century. I'm sure the logistics of that can be easily worked out in a few short discussions using QR codes issued to parents with scanners at the entrance gates. That way the school knows who is on campus while maintaining limited, controlled, and restricted access. I'm sure we can all agree no parent needs to be trained on how to walk their child to a classroom to make sure their child is safely delivered to their teacher and picked up in the afternoon. Please let the natural progression of each student's increasing age and grade level determine when they no longer need or want their parent to walk them to class, not the district's obvious fear of perceived increased liability by keeping parents visible on campus for just a few minutes each day. The parents are not a safety problem. The only negative encounters my 5 children, have had with the adults in the school district are an assault on my child by a teacher and a well-respected male student teacher that was caught watching the girls changing in their locker room in high school. The parents wanting to drop off their child at a classroom door is not a liability problem.
Thank you. Next, we have Aaron Harrington, 3 minutes.
I still get nervous every time. Hi, guys. Oh, did it start? Oh. El Segundo is a family town with a small town camaraderie. We own the name Mayberry by the Sea. The El Segundo School District and Board is threatening that camaraderie. Center Street Elementary School is built on tradition and community. Residents pride themselves on being Center Street parents because the school has such an amazing reputation. We walk our kids to their open-air classrooms every day and converse with other parents while we wait for our children to start their day of learning. We keep an eye out for each other's children and monitor behavior and bullying. We embrace already built friendships and seek new ones. We all have one thing in common: our children's safety and well-being. We leave them there to learn and grow and pray that they are safe with the current state of the world we live in. We do the same thing in the afternoon. They are our children. We believe our children are safest in our presence. We are talking 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of the day and the same in the afternoon. A few weeks ago, the El Segundo School Board voted to eliminate parental access on campus for the upcoming year. They completely ignored the 250 signature petition that parents signed and the majority vote by the parents that they sent out saying no to eliminating parental access. We 100% want our children to be safe, and their safety is of utmost importance to us as parents. We believe it's safer with parents on campus. Packing everyone into groups at gates is more of a liability. The children have expressed sadness and anxiety at the possibility of not having their parents with them at drop-off and pickup. The district prides themselves on social and emotional well-being. Well, this is one of those situations. A school shooting could occur regardless of parents dropping their children off to their classroom doors. Nashville was a locked campus, and Uvalde had parents begging to get on campus as the police lagged and their children died. If something were to happen at our school, I can assure you that we won't be waiting. A transient man jumped the fence this week, and I can tell you that if there had been parents on campus, that man would have been stopped within seconds. We can work together on safety. So moving forward, instead of walkouts, pickets, and media attention, we ask for a compromise to allow controlled access to the parents for drop-off and pickup. Invest in a QR reader that is attached to the gates, and we can scan ourselves in every day. It may take a little longer, but the parents would welcome the chance at being a part of their child's education. We did this during COVID when Tina checked our daily COVID check. Otherwise, I believe that the Raptor system line will be inundated with a lot of parents checking in every morning and afternoon. We would like a decision on how this compromise will be executed before the end of the year. We look forward to this next level of safety and community as we move into the next school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Chelsea Moto.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm a first-timer today, speaker. Chelsea Motal, mom of the first grader Aria, and Spider-Man, also known as Lincoln, in the second row. I have to start by saying I believe in this school board. I voted for this school board. I know you act in what is the best interest of our community, your own families included. You're personal to us, your neighbors, your friends. Tracy, you walk by my house every day with your pup. So when I speak from a personal standpoint, human to human. I believe in the safety of our children in schools, and I believe in most of the recommendations made from our safety consultant. But I think there is an opportunity when we're not allowing parents on or off campus during drop-off and pickup. And I also don't know if it is effective to go through the bottleneck of the 3-minute check-in system to get into our schools. The safety consultant said, restrict access, and I think we can do better on how we approach that. As a parent, as an advocate for each and every one of you, it's not in the what, it's in the how that we can go about this. Our children thrive when we're together. They are at the center of a trifecta. An active community, an active school, and an active home. When these pieces work together, there's magic. It's the magic of El Segundo. It's the magic of Center Street School. In my first career, I used to sub all over Los Angeles, so I've seen a variety of schools. They don't have the magic, and they don't have all pieces of that trifecta. I'm an active parent, quit my job to be involved and to be there for my kids. I'm in the PTA. I'd love to volunteer in the classroom, but it's on a teacher-by-teacher basis. And although I love our teacher, no shame on her, she doesn't want help in the classroom. And so there aren't always those options for us as parents. So I implore you, as members of the council, instead of what to do, I'd love for you to think about how we go about doing it. Think about this a little bit differently. Think of a parent council on how to approach this issue. There are a lot of people here. We have a lot of ideas, and we can make the funds. We can make things happen. Think about giving frequent visitors a pass, like Erin just mentioned, or maybe we come up with an idea of loosening these restrictions for TK through second on these kids who may need it a little bit more, who might be scared, past the school shooting issue. They need their parents. So we can come up with a win-win scenario together, and I'll leave you with this. I guarantee whether we're right or we're wrong moving forward, we will be better together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Lisa Race, and it's 3 minutes.
If I should push that. Hello. I've been a citizen of El Segundo for 33 years. My daughter went to Center Street School, and now my granddaughter is enrolled for kindergarten this August. Board members, Superintendent Moore, please do the right thing. Don't ignore the results of your own ordered safety recommendations report. Don't ignore California Education Codes 44810 and 44811, which protect parents' rights to be on campus and allows removal of a parent only in the case of disruptive behavior. That's the way it is. Don't ignore the citizens of this town, and don't hurt these families. Your policy has created division and discord between the parents. There's a way to solve all of this. Allow the parents on campus during drop-offs and pickups with an identification method that will secure the campus and keep harmony between the parents, the children, and your staff. Unless you give something here, this isn't going to go away. This is building. This movement is building. We're not going away.
Thank you. Next, we have Carolyn Knott, 3 minutes.
Hello, board members. This school board, on May 9th, unanimously approved a security measure closing gates to Center Street Elementary parents. Parents who currently enter the campus at drop-off and pickup times to walk their kid to the classroom will be forced to stay outside of the gate even at drop-off and pickup. The safety report created by a safety expert recommended, quote, limit visitor access to the campus and force entry through the main office only, unquote. This recommendation is the school board's justification for not allowing parents on campus. Safety expert and school board both surveyed Center Street Elementary parents, and 60% were against closing the gates to parents. However, this school board then unanimously voted to pass the safety recommendation, not allowing parents through the gates. With El Segundo High School math performance showing 44% of students are below standard, and El Segundo High School science performance showing that 50% of students are below standard, I think the school board has more important things to focus on. According to board policies code BB 9000, some of the roles of the board members are setting the direction for the district through a process that involves the community, parents, guardians, students, and staff. They also involve ensuring accountability to the public for the performance of the schools. After some volunteers passed out flyers to notify parents at CSS of the changes, the CSS principal wrote in her May 19th Center Street School News, it has been disheartening to see protesters who are not part of our CSC community in front of our school this week. On more than one occasion, either Kim Stern or I have had to approach them to instruct them not to engage with or distribute flyers to the children. I heard from CSS parents that they shared our concerns and that the presence and actions of these adults passing out flyers was upsetting for some of our students. Unquote. I would submit that the volunteers handing out flyers on the public sidewalk are definitely part of the CSS community by either being residents in El Segundo or having students in the ESUSD. Our presence may have been upsetting some students because they read our sign that parents will no longer be able to walk them to their classrooms. Please consider the parents, and please consider your role on the board, and think about if you're ready to resign.
Thank you. Next, we have Jadranka Draskovics. 3 minutes.
Well, good evening, everyone. So I am joining other Center Street parents. I am a former Center Street parent who are angry and frustrated this evening about a decision that was made here 2 weeks ago regarding parents and their entry on campus regarding their own children. But I would go a step further. They're not only angry and frustrated, but I think they feel an incredible sense of betrayal. And I'll tell you why. Because many of these people in this room voted for you guys. You're sitting in these chairs tonight because they had faith in you having the ability to make the best choices for our school, for our families, and for our community. But now you have shown them that they are completely being ignored. A survey came out, 60% of the parents said, we're not interested in doing that. Let's please find a compromise. And I'm sure your security consultant could come up with a variety of different ways that you could compromise with the families. These families are concerned about safety as well. We all are. But let's come to a compromise. And if I would say this, I understand that we are losing families here at El Segundo Unified for exactly these reasons. They are feeling disenfranchised. Nobody's listening to parents these days. And so we have students leaving, going off to private schools and staying home with the homeschooling system. But if this continues, we may see more families leave because they feel that there is no hope anymore. No one is listening to them, to these elected officials right here that are supposed to represent the community. So I would suggest this is really a watershed moment for the board here. You could continue losing families, and yeah, I know, you have empty students or empty seats and you fill it up with the permit kids. I get that. But at what point does the fabric of this community begin to change? Our neighborhood schools will no longer be neighborhood schools when they're full of permit students. And how is that going to affect our local businesses, our real estate prices, because it's all tied together with our schools. We are a small community and it's all interwoven. So I would please ask of this board that was elected by these individuals here to work on their behalf with them, to come to a compromise that is suitable for all parties involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Wendy Bosch.
Hi, everyone. First, I want to thank you, Dr. Moore. You had said, I heard the last meeting in 2014, you noticed no fence around our school. That was when I moved here in 2014, and I was shocked at no fence around the school because I thought anyone can come right on. Thank you for doing that. I want to thank you all for revisiting these security issues right now, and I think they are all amazing and essential except one, which is why we're all here. The one I believe is sad and detrimental that will add to the anxiety of our most vulnerable children. It will make it harder for shy children to connect and belong. It will greatly reduce the ability of class families to create community and will hinder neurodivergent children's social experience. And I'm sorry for getting emotional. I have a child who has struggled with extreme anxiety. Her first day at Center Street, we were brand new to town, and I didn't know if I would get her in the car to class. I got her in. I got her there. Miss Murray had to hold her down to keep her in there. We had similar experiences regularly every day. Every day was filled with stress over things that were probably easy for your children to do. Center Street is special, and what sets it apart from other elementaries is none other than the accessibility to connect to families in your child's class every day. It's that consistency in front of the classroom. For me and my family, it was a saving grace. It was not just a fun bonus time, social time. Yes, I made lifelong friends, but that's not what this is about. We had a mental health crisis on our hands. That small community of parents waiting outside my daughter's class was a literal lifesaver. This new policy would have removed that from my family. Let me explain further. Crowds overwhelm my daughter, like the pickup crowds during COVID outside the building. On-campus pickup, and I'm explaining to those who don't go to Center, on-campus pickup is the opposite of overwhelming. It's small groups of parents, there's often just 6, in more of a private area. Over time, my daughter learned to trust these kids and parents. It took interacting with them every day for her. For the first time in her life in TK at Center Street, she became comfortable with other kids and adults, and some of them became like family. My child felt safe. And when parents were late, the rest of us stayed there with their child, and all the children knew they were safe with us. As Dr. Moore perfectly stated in the last meeting, children need to feel safe to thrive. I'm going to add that they need to feel both physically and emotionally safe. That small community of parents
Not. I can allow you to speak at the end of the meeting. We have 10A. We have 3 more cards that we will read now, that we will have people present now, and then the cards that have come, we will do that in section 10A. So I invite you to stay and speak for your husband during section 10A of the meeting. I would like that, please. Thank you. As stated, we have 3 cards that I will call the individuals, and then after that, we'll move on to the meeting, and then we will invite anyone who wants to speak again to fill out a card, and in section 10A of the agenda, we'll invite you back. Okay, sounds like we need more cards in the back, so we'll work on that. Thank you for that. Next, we have Jill Jacobson, 3 minutes.
I have my daughter here. She's going to say something in a moment as well. All right, so schools are already one of the absolute safest places for our children to be. The coffees that has existed, we're talking about trying to make our schools safe. We are starting from a safe place. We are not a high-risk location. Most of the places our families take our children are much less safe. They're not high risk, but they're much less safe than our schools are. Why are we, sorry, my phone's dying on me. Why are we trying to make it into our schools are not safe and we have to do so much to make them safe? We're already safe. One-size-fits-all methodology doesn't work for educating our kids, nor does it work for school safety. Center Street School has a very different architecture and community feel. One site fits all is requiring the Center Street School to implement the same procedures as the other schools in our district without regard for their unique characters. During the awful COVID era, we had a very similar setup to what I understand is being proposed. There was a very distinctly different interaction between the parents in the class as well as with the teacher. I was thrilled to be back on campus this year and loved the interaction with my child, her classmates' parents, and our teacher. Center Street is unique for a variety of reasons, and this is just one of them. My final comment is with regards to transparency. We had asked for data during the coffees, and we were promised that it would be made available to us before the board made its decision. The survey that went out, and that was never actually provided. The survey that went out after the final coffees and all made it very clear that you were going against every recommendation and made the respondents feel horrible for even considering responding no on that. And yet 60% of the respondents still said no. And you ignored it. We're just asking to have access to walk our children to and from the classroom. Depart easily, no problem. I love the compromise of the controlled access. That's great. Can we please reconsider and try to work towards that compromise?
Okay.
And
So-
next, we have Lily Dole.
Hi, I'm Lily. So basically, like, I would much rather have, like, my mom or my dad walk me to my classroom than just, like, get dropped off at the gates, have to go inside, like, walk to my class. Yeah, it's a little too tall for me. Like, just walk to my class, be like, bye, like, I have to go find you after class, whatever. But also, like, schools are already safe. Like, my mom said, like, schools are already a safe zone. I think having the parents there just, like, increases that amount of safety because, like, your parents look out for other people's children as well as you. Like, nobody's trying to hurt anybody else's kid. So, like, I think that increases the safety of the school rather than, like, decreases from it. And then that's basically it.
Miss Stahl, I want to make sure you're aware that your daughter was being videotaped by someone, so if you don't consent, you should be sure to let that individual know.
Thank you. And the last card will be from Matt, and forgive me, I'm having a hard time reading this, but is it Thesna?
It's Teisner. H is silent. Okay. My wife and I have a 4-year-old daughter that will be at Center Street this fall. Sorry, I don't know why. I'm already emotional. She has pretty high anxiety, and the reason that we wanted to come to Center Street, we were so excited to have this opportunity to bring her to the classroom, to be involved, and to see, just to see where her class is, what she's doing at her current preschool. We get to go in, we get to go see everything, and the sense of pride and confidence that she gets just by showing us the art that she gets to do and what's up on the wall means the world to her. And us as parents, I can't tell you how much that means to us. And I think coming into a new school, coming into a new community, as she's going to be transitioning here after this year, hearing everything that's changing leaves us pretty confused. And I think, I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of ignorance, but not knowing what this is going to be as we are getting ready for the school year is incredibly stressful for us. And, I think when the school says, like, oh, you can get involved, you can be volunteers, you can do this, I think when you have parents that work full-time that don't have that option, it doesn't look the same as being able to go see the school and and interact with teachers. And I think the idea that we will be missing out on this part of our kid's life, and being able to walk into her class and trying to wrap our heads around the idea of a 4-year-old or 5-year-old walking that long walk away from us at the gate is honestly unimaginable right now. So thank you for hopefully reconsidering.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone for their public comments. Next, we'll move to section 3D, which is the superintendent's comments.
I have no comments.
I submitted a card before someone that already spoke. Did you intentionally overlook it, or?
So I have 2 cards that came, and they came through this way. I put all cards that came after the meeting started, and those are the...
One of the cards was, I turned both of them in. One was Bosch and one was mine.
Okay.
I turned them in at the same time.
I received that card. I have a Wendy Bosch here, and I have a Cynthia Canino here. So these are the two that I received.
And didn't Wendy already speak?
Well,
Yes.
it appears that Wendy may have submitted 2 cards, but let me find for you. Give me one moment, please. And, okay. So at this point, Wendy did submit 2 cards. One that came before the meeting and one that came during the
I
meeting.
can't read it from there. I guess I'll have to take your word.
Thank you. All right. Next, we'll move to section 4A, Student Representative Report. Natalie Long.
Alrighty, hello everyone. First off, I want to introduce a very special guest, Miss Haley Wantz. So she is our incoming ASB president, and when I say I'm leaving you guys in good hands, I mean it. Haley, you are a natural born leader. She is kind and she cares about her peers. And while I'm sad to be leaving, I know you're going to be doing a phenomenal job next year, and I'm super excited for you. So good job, Haley. All right, on Friday the 12th, it was College Decision Day. So the class of 23 was able to rep their merch from for their future alma mater, and it was a really bittersweet day as we are one step closer to graduating, so that was really exciting. I want to give a huge congratulations to our boys swim team. They won CIF, and I'm pleased to see that they are here tonight to be recognized. So stay tuned for that. I believe they're getting a whole recognition, so that's awesome. And additionally, boys volleyball made ESHS history. They not only did they win CIF, but they won the state championship. So I think it's safe to say that El Skendo is killing the games in the athletic department. As I stated last meeting, the seniors won the spirit competition this year, and we were rewarded with tickets to a Dodger game. So we enjoyed some Dodger dogs, got on the Jumbotron. I got on it twice, and we enjoyed the day together as seniors. The Climate Club hosted the first ever Trashin' Show, and these talented designers created sustainable pieces, and we had a wonderful turnout. And then we had our lip dub video. I want to give a huge shout out to Katie Durand, Ryan Smetana, Catherine Sherritt, Sammy Kleiger, and Camille Potier for helping put on this video. And I can confidently say that of everything I planned in ASB, I am most proud of this video. Seeing the excitement on everyone's faces, the sense of community that our school had was undescribable. We hope to be playing it tonight, but unfortunately, due to the internet issues, we can't play it. But it should be posted on our YouTube page, I believe, tomorrow or on Friday, so stay tuned for that. We're really excited about that. And then this past Saturday was our prom. So juniors and seniors attended prom, and this is arguably one of the most looked forward to events that ASB hosts. And we had a record turnout, and I'm pretty sure everyone left that night with blisters on their feet because we were all dancing very hard. And additionally, we had our promposal competition. So whoever has the best promposal wins 2 free tickets. So shout out Dante and Kiana. And then yesterday was our senior assembly, and our activities director, Ms. Richmond, discussed all the senior activities in the upcoming weeks. So all of us seniors are super excited as our year is coming to an end next Friday, which is wild. We kicked off our Hits for Huntington's dodgeball tournament, which is a single elimination tournament, and that raises money to find a cure for the Huntington's disease. And then before this meeting, we had our valedictorian auditions. I was incredibly impressed by all of my peers, fantastic speeches. Nicole was one of the, she auditioned, and I shed a few tears. It was honestly, everyone did such a fantastic job, and I'm so proud of everyone. And then this Friday, our school is hosting the 4.0 brunch to seniors who maintained a 4.0 every year. So we are looking forward to sharing a meal together and recognizing our hard work and late nights these past 4 years. And that is my very last board report for y'all. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to section 4B, which is recognition of the outgoing student board representative. And I will start. I wrote a little something for you. so that I can keep it all together. But first off, thank you. You are a natural leader with a heart of service. I am proud to know you, proud to serve this community with you through various philanthropic opportunities, and most notably, proud to serve on this school board with you. Each meeting you have brought thoughtful updates, shared noteworthy news, and displayed an admirable level of grace balanced by confidence. I look at your parents, Stacy and Rich, and I thank you for raising a confident daughter, one who will go into the world and make a difference. Whether the world knows you as Nat or Dr. Natalie Long, the world will surely know your name. But for us lucky ones, we will have the benefit of personally knowing you, along with our memories of shared experiences, laughter, and service. Today's meeting marks the final time you will formally express your preference on a motion before the board. May you walk away with your head held high, knowing that in this boardroom, you were seen, heard, supported, and loved, and that your preferential vote was valued. Thank you. Other board members?
Yeah, I just quickly want to say it's been an honor to serve with you, and it brings me back to my high school days, serving in the role you did when I was there. But you are so far surpassing whatever I could have done in that time. I mean, amazing. So we're excited that you were a part of this with us, and we'll watch your success as you go forth. So thank you for all your time with us.
I just want to say thank you. You set a standard for us here through your honest and open discussion with us, your viewpoints, your reports. I can't thank you enough, because student stakeholders, you're the representative, and what you say and how it's perceived, it all matters. And so thank you very much for representing all the students here at this board through this last year. You did an excellent, amazing job.
Natalie, you preceded me onto the board, but I and Mrs. Beachley had the good fortune to be able to observe your tenure from the audience as well as a fellow board member. I commend you for graciously taking up this task on top of the very many pursuits and time challenges you faced as a senior. Not only did you shine in your role on the board, you positively sparkled. You have been courageous, forthright, positive, and at times a little emotional in addressing the sometimes sensitive issues that come before the board. You are very clear and supportive of those who are not here to speak for themselves. As you go forward, I know you will be taking a little bit of Richmond Street, the middle school, and El Segundo High School with you as the foundation for your future. Please do that in the confidence that you've also left a piece of you here at ESUSD as a trailblazer and an inspiration for those who follow you. In years to come, you can proudly drive down Main Street, look over and say to yourself, "That's my school."
So as usual, I didn't prepare a speech because I never do. Y'all know me. Natalie, it has been an absolute pleasure. You were not one of my students in class, but you will always always be one of my kids, and you know what that means. You have just been, as Frank said, we sat and watched a lot of meetings before we were elected to the board, and your leadership is undescribable. You've been an amazing part of this team, and you have been part of this team. And I appreciate everything that you have done for your fellow students. It's important. I look forward to seeing all the amazing things that you do in your future. I know it's going to be amazing, and I can hardly wait. I love nothing more than when I get to see my kids come back and show off a little bit. So I'm excited to see that. Best of luck. You're going to be missed, but we're excited for the next one.
So, Natalie, I told your mom on Friday night when we were at the gala that you are truly a force. And when you're a parent and you have a child who is strong-willed, which I have one of those, and I bet there's some parents in the room today that have one of those, you hope and dream that you can channel that and that child is going to grow into being the confident, competent communicator. You are everything that epitomizes the graduate profile. I enjoyed watching your confidence grow each and every meeting, to see your finding your voice as a young woman. And I could not be prouder of you, and you know how I feel. Super proud. We are lucky to have had you here at a really critical time in our school district, because you were there to speak your truth, your genuine voice. And that means a lot to all of the board. So I just want to say thank you. You are going to enjoy every minute at Boulder. There are going to be times where they're late nights. There are going to be times where you're ready to just, throw your books to the winds, but you're going to do it. You're going to do it. You've got your eye on the prize, and we expect nothing but great things. But we really want to continue to hear from you. So please don't be a stranger. Thank you.
At this time, we would like to present you with a card and a certificate from the board. We would also like to take a picture with you and your family up front. All right. Next, we are moving to section 4C, which is recognition of student Nicole Ngaro. Dr. Moore.
Yes, I'd like to call forward student Nicole Ngaro, if you'd come forward with me. Hi. So it is my tremendous honor to bring forward Nicole Ungaro as another absolutely outstanding and extraordinary young woman from El Segundo High School who will be graduating. Early, I think it was kind of spring of 2022, Marisa Janicek worked with the high school team to identify a student that El Segundo Unified could recommend to the League of Innovative Schools. As one of the superintendents on the League Advisory Committee, we were invited to actually have a student who would represent our district as a voice on the League. And the League is a group of about 150 school districts across the nation. So Natalie played an instrumental role in being a part of the League of Innovative Students advisory group. And the purpose of this group was to really brainstorm and come up with ideas on how to increase student voice in the League and obviously within her own school community. And so Nicole has been simply extraordinary. In the fall, of course, one of the points of pride for our school district was to host the League of Innovative Schools. 350 educators and business partners toured our schools for a day, and Marisa Janicek did just an amazing job as the facilitator and person responsible for putting all of those visits together. Our site principals and teachers opened up their classrooms, and people were just blown away. But prior to that visit, we had about 350 people in the room, and Ms. Janicek, Nicole, and I provided a preview to everybody about what to expect to see. And I cannot tell you how proud I was to have Nicole as a student representing the many amazing programs and opportunities she has experienced as a student at El Segundo Unified School District. She's captain of her basketball team. Last year, as a junior, I was able to actually go and visit her in her classrooms and shadow her. I sat in her art class. That was one of the most amazing experiences we had. I sat in her English class. I sat in AP Bio. It was absolutely an amazing opportunity to see school experience through a student's eyes. And Nicole was transparent, she was excited, she was positive, and just did an extraordinary job. Then this spring, we actually had a visit to Birmingham, and we visited schools in Talladega, Alabama. And once again, Nicole came to represent El Segundo High School and serve on a panel of a number of students from across the nation, representing the student voice and what matters most to kids. So she did, once again, a fabulous job representing everyone. And so on behalf of the board, Nicole, for your extraordinary service as a representative from the League of Innovative Schools on a nationwide level, we would like to recognize you this evening with just a brief gift. So thank you. Thank you so much. And you're invited to, she's invited to say a few words, and we should do a photo too. Yeah, a few words. Yes. You got to show them. You got to show them.
I just like to point this out. This is not the first time she's done this. She did this about 350 people the first time, so you can imagine that. It's been my greatest pleasure this past year to get to know you, to speak my truth, use my voice to really represent the student body, and I'm going to miss it greatly. I'm going to miss our chats that we had in between. And I would just want to say it was a really great opportunity, so thank you very much.
And tell us where you're going to go. Oh, what's your plan?
Yep, I committed to UCSB, so that's where I'll be going. I would, I wish.
If we could do a photo. That'd be great.
All right, next we'll move to section 4D, the recognition of the boys swim team. And Dr. Moore?
We'd like to call forward Principal Steve Gephardt.
Thank you, Dr. Moore, President Wheaton, Board. It is my pleasure to introduce the El Segundo High School boys swim team, who this year, and I know that Natalie was able to give some recognition to all the amazing athletics that happened, and we get a couple board meetings in a row where we get to, and this one we're going to recognize the boys swim team, who this year took home the CIF Division II championship, in addition to qualifying various boys for state recognition and setting numerous school records. There are a couple of swimmers I just want to highlight, and then I'm going to call the entire team up here. Taisai Saito, Lucas Crother-Collado, and Lucas Hubbard all won league titles and set ESHS school records. Alexander Cole set school records in the 200 and 500 freestyle. Taisai Saito in the 100 fly and 200 individual medley. Lucas Crother-Collado, Taisai Saito, Lucas Hubbard, and Alexander Cole in the 400 freestyle relay. In addition, special recognition for swimmers Jonathan Schnauer, A.B. Sharma, and Chase Little for their efforts in relays to help win CIF. It really was an entire team effort. In addition to winning CIF, there were 4 swimmers that qualified for the state championship up in Clovis, California, and that was Lucas Crother-Collado, who's just a junior, so next year the future is bright. Taisai Saito, another junior. Chase Little, another junior, and Alexander Cole, a senior, who's going to continue swimming in the Midwest at Purdue. So the team represented well. Coaches Tyler Cantarsi and Fodi Devlantis are also here. So with that, I just want to invite up the entire swim team and their coaches, please.
Clerk Glenn is going to distribute the certificates where we take the photo.
So I'll go ahead and call out each individual swimmer. Clerk Glenn will give you guys your certificates, and then we'll take a photo. First, Alexander Cole. Lucas Crother-Collado. Lucas Hubbard. Chase Little. Taisai Saito. Johnny Schnauer. Avi Sharma. We also have certificates for the coaches, Tyler Cantarsi. And Fodi Devlantis.
And at this time, we would like to take a picture. We'll have everyone come to the back.
I would like to know that the students who are in attendance may feel free to be excused. You've got school tomorrow, so you don't feel like you need to stay for the whole meeting. So.
Now we'll move to section 4E of the agenda, and that's recognition of the certificated and classified retiring employees. Dr. Moore.
Yes, it's with a great deal of pleasure that I have Dr. Melissa Gooden, Executive Director of Human Resources, come forward to share information regarding our retirees.
Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Moore, thank you for having us here this evening. This is always one of my favorite times of the year because it gives us an opportunity to not only recognize students, but always also to recognize employees. So tonight's extra special because we have 3 people here that are retiring. We have a total of 5 retirees for the district, but 3 are here. So we're gonna share a little bit about our 3 employees that are here to get started. And I will say that not having internet allowed me today to go through each of these employees' personnel files and fold through the cards where things were typed on their cards when I was trying to figure out when they were hired and where they've worked. So if I have any errors, please forgive me, but I did try to get a synopsis as best I could. So I'm going to start with our 2 certificated employees. Actually, both of these employees were hired in August 2005. So we'll start with Deanna DeLello. Come on up. Okay. So Deanna DeLello was hired in August of 2005 at the high school as a Spanish teacher. She started as a Spanish teacher, and then someone found out along the way that she had a history credential, so she has picked up social studies and history classes as well. So I'm going to give you, if you would like to say anything, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much. It's very nice to work in the school district that we have here. You guys have a really great place. So I stuck around a long time.
And next we have David Reed. He also was hired in 2005. Did you guys sit next to each other at the orientation? Oh, there we go. Come on up, David. So David was hired at El Segundo High School and has been an art and photography teacher at El Segundo High School. In addition, David was clearly a crowd favorite because in 2019, he was selected as the El Segundo High School Homecoming Marshal. Congratulations, David.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. It's been an experience. And I still can't understand how anybody gave me a job to begin with. So, thanks. Thank you.
David, I forgot you here. You could have come up and take pictures for us. Okay, so next moving on to our classified employee retirees, we have Robin Heck. Come on up, Robin. So I finally get to see the whole Heck family together. And I see these grandbabies. I'm assuming that's what we're retiring. You'll have more time to spend with them. Lucky grandkids. So Robin started here in 1995. My record sleuthing looks like you were hired as a playground supervisor substitute, and then somebody quickly realized we're not going to let you go. So you became an instructional aid substitute. And by 1998, you were hired as an instructional aide at Center Street School. Is that correct? Oh, good. Okay. So she's been at Center Street School for a long time. I actually met Robin last year when I had to make the call to let her know that her services were needed at Richmond Street School. You're a very kind and wonderful person, and I know Richmond loved having you for the last 2 years, and we hope that you enjoy your retirement. Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words? I have a little baby if you need to take another one that needs somebody to watch.
And at this time, we'd like to,
I really want to thank the board for recognizing my retirement. And I really look at these past 25 plus years as an absolute gift. I worked for a major air carrier for 22 years before I started at the school. And you can ask my husband of almost 40 years that I told him for almost 3 years straight that my dream was to work for the school district, to have summers off, to have time with the children, to have holidays off, and not be on call all the time for the airlines. So tonight is extremely special to have my entire family here. And honestly, I mean, more than anything, Marisa was one of the principals that I was so madly in love with, and her leadership skills are incredible, and she knew every child's name at Center Street. So talk about getting around and getting out there. And knowing everything of how that school worked was amazing. But these two who adopted me to go to Richmond after 24 years at Center Street, I was really nervous. And I was really broken. And these two just saved me. So you're three of the top. So thank you. Thank you for tonight.
At this time, we'd like to invite the board to the front for pictures. All right. Next, we will move to section 4F of the agenda, and that's recognition of the 2023 Certificated and Classified Employees of the Year. Dr. Moore?
Yes, we'd like to call back Dr. Melissa Gooden regarding our Employees of the Year.
Thank you again. So at this time, we are going to recognize our certificated and our classified employees of the year. These employees have already been celebrated at each of their school sites, but tonight we're bringing them to you so that we can publicly recognize them as well. We're going to start with our certificated. We have from Richmond Street School, we have 5th grade teacher Cheryl Crotty. We also have from El Segundo Middle School, Jim Walter. And last, we have from El Segundo High School, Tiffany Masonette here with us tonight. Tiffany Masonette was also selected as the District Teacher of the Year, so she'll be representing our district in the LACO in the county-wide race. So I know you're going to get that application in and do well. Do well. There you go. Lisa K. So at Richmond Street School, they had one election and there was a tie. No, yes, there was a two-way tie. So then they had to do a runoff, and then there was a two-way tie again. So we said this year we can recognize 2 people. Lisa Kang was the other Teacher of the Year. However, she's not able to be here this evening. And from Center Street, Stacy Sweeney was selected. Congratulations. And next for our classified staff, we have from El Segundo High School, Penny Lassiter. We also, from Richmond Street School, we have Yana Pandula Park. And from Eagles Nest and District Office, we have Blanca Martinez. Is Blanca, she's probably out doing something in our offices. And last but not least, from El Segundo Middle School, we have Melissa McFadden. So if we can get all of our employees of the year up here and we'll do a picture with the board for you. I also forgot to share, Yvette Matties was the Center Street Classified Employee of the Year. However, she couldn't be here this evening.
All right. All right, at this time, we are moving to section 5 of the agenda, and we will go to section 5, the consent agenda. May I have a motion?
I move that we approve consent items A through, what are we? T.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay. Natalie, may I have your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor? Aye. Those who oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we'll move to section 6 of the agenda, section 6A.
In accordance with Board of Education Policy Number 3290, The Board of Education may accept gifts as long as there is no conflict with the Education Code or other public laws. The school district has received generous donations, which are detailed on the screen. These donations do not conflict with any education code or public laws regarding acceptance of gifts. We would like to thank the Center Street School PTA, the Richmond Street School PTA, the El Segundo PTA Council, the Kotzen Foundation for the Art of Teaching, and JW Photography.
I'll move acceptance.
Second.
Any discussion?
I moved. I seconded. Yes, I have discussion. I just want to point out, if people can't see on the screen, $174,058.56. That is ambitious and focused efforts from the Center Street PTA to get new playground equipment. So, I mean, Heather Sutherland has been a force behind that for years, and I salute Center Street for making that happen. I'm glad that we can co-partner in actually putting it in place, because that was a very complicated process, more than anybody ever thought when we started talking about it like a decade ago. So thank you, Center Street, for making that happen. We're excited for you.
Any additional discussion? Natalie, may I have your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor? Aye. Those who oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we'll move to action item 6B, approval of the summer reading, ESMS summer reading. Dr. Moore?
Yes, the item that we bring before you this evening is simply the reading requirement. So at the middle school, students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade would be selecting one fiction and one nonfiction book. And that's all I have on that. I recommend approval.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
2 books, one fiction, one nonfiction, correct? Great. Many options out there. Can't wait to hear what the kids choose.
Natalie, may I have your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor?
Aye.
Those who oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we'll move to action item 6C. Dr. Moore?
6C, we have approval of the high school summer reading list. The high school had a committee. We brought this last meeting as an information pending action. No concerns have come forward, and I recommend approval.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Natalie, may I have your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor? Aye. Those who oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have action item 6D. Dr. Moore?
Yes, the next item I'm extremely proud to bring forward. One of the things that we continue to work on with our students is providing additional mental health supports in our schools. So with the board's approval, we moved forward with the establishment of wellness centers for the next school year at both the middle school and the high school. The high school would be staffed by a school psychologist. Because a school psychologist is typically associated with many duties surrounding special education, this would be an additional school psychologist above and beyond that threshold in order to work on mental health supports for our students. So we're very excited. We're partnering with our school to continue to move forward on furnishings and programming for this wellness center, and I recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Natalie, may I have your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, say aye. Aye. Those who oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have action item 6E. Dr. Moore?
Yes, we bring forward an updated job description. Previously, we had a position in educational services that was student information specialist. As the demands for more data that the state requires the district to report, we recognized that this position had further evolved into something more complex. So in doing a job description study, we are bringing forward a revised job description under the title of Student Information and Data Systems Specialist. So this will be someone who's an integral part of the Ed Services team who will provide much information, attention to detail regarding the reporting that we have to do with the state, our assessment systems, et cetera.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Natalie, may I have your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, say aye. Aye. Those who oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have action item 6E. Dr. Moore.
Yes, thank you. This specific resolution, resolution number 14, is adopting procedures and criteria regarding proposals for leaseback contractors. So a couple of weeks ago, we had a specific special budget study session on this with both our attorney as well as Preeti D'Souza and our team from Teleku. So at that time, we looked at this as an option that would be very viable for future projects, specifically such as HVAC. So this resolution actually shares how a request for proposal could look, and that each and every one that we would bring forward would be brought under separate cover and the customized rubric that would be developed. So we look forward to working with a subcommittee of our FAC, our Facility Advisory Committee, to get their input as it relates to what the best course of action is going forward. But this will allow that committee to continue to look at this as an option for the appropriate jobs going forward. This is one option that we were looking at specifically for the large HVAC project involving 30-plus units at various sites. Kim Linz is available for questions this evening. Should you have anything further?
I move approval.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to thank our Chief Business Official, Kim Lenz, for really going into all the details on this and educating the Facilities Advisory Committee and our board on the ins and outs of it. And I think I saw Preeti coming in at the back, and I'd like to also thank her for all the hard work she's put into this and the hard work that's ahead of you. So thank you.
Yeah, I think just to reiterate what Frank said, thank you for all the effort that you put into this, Kim, the presentation, everything, and just the forethought on keeping our district moving forward in its construction and how we're going to operate and make all this happen in a timely way for all the students and teachers and staff that occupy our campuses. And so everybody should be clapping for it because it's a lot of work that's getting done in a real time. And so thank you for that and all the effort of your staff and Teleku and Preeti. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Natalie, may I have your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, say aye. Aye. Those who oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have action item 6G. Dr. Moore.
Yes, this item specifically is for the district-wide mechanical unit replacement project. So we're not replacing each and every unit, but we did do an assessment a year back to discover which units were failing, which were old, what needed to be replaced. What we learned was mechanical units now actually weigh more, they're more efficient, but all the buildings need to be assessed, and this is one of the steps that we need to take to be able to move forward with that process. I recommend approval.
May I have a motion?
Motion to approve G.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Natalie, may I have your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, say aye. Aye. Those who oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have action item 6H. Dr. Moore.
Yes, at our last board meeting, we had Craig Gast here to talking about the Civic Seal of Engagement. As Mr. Gast shared, he was integral in getting El Segundo High School named a California Democracy School. And so now as we move forward with the great next step is the Civic Seal of Engagement. And this policy would allow us to move forward and offer this program for our students. And so just recently he offered Civics Day, and that would be a project that students could use towards qualifying for this. And so if we tie that back into this, we're bringing it forward for approval, and I'm enthusiastically recommending it.
May I have a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Natalie, may we have your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, say aye. Aye. Those who oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we move to the information pending action, sections 7A and B. Dr. Moore?
Yes, once again, information pending action is here as an opportunity for our public to preview what will be coming forward at the next board meeting for board consideration for approval in the future. This is a request coming specifically from the principal of the high school regarding the adoption of a biology textbook. And we do have processes for board policy administrative reg that outlines the process for that. And this procedure, as it relates to the biology textbook, would come back at our next board meeting. And the same would hold true for item B, which is first review of updates in the 4000 series, which is human resources related.
Next, we'll move to section 8A, reports, informational calendar. Dr. Moore?
So I have a little internet and I'm waiting for it to load. So let's see if the calendar comes up. We have something. There we go. Thank you. All right, so as we look at June, we move into promotion graduation season. So we're very happy to see our arena students graduate at Library Park on June 5th at 6 o'clock. Then we have both promotion ceremonies for 5th grade at Center Street at 9 and Richmond Street at 11 on the 8th of June. And we have our last day of school with the middle school 8th grade promotion at 2 and the high school culminating at 6 o'clock. So hard to believe we're just 2 weeks away. It goes by so quickly. And then our next board meeting will be at 6 o'clock on June 13th and again on the 27th.
Thank you. Now we'll move to the next section, announcements, correspondence, and report. Section 9A, board members' reports.
Okay, now I get to start. I'll try to make this short because we are already running long. I don't want to spend a lot of time on an unagendized item because this has been voted on, but I do want people to know they have been heard again and again. Sorry if the action we took did not go the way that some people hoped it would, but I will say that we are better together. And we have a committee that's going to work on how this gets implemented. So yes, indeed, the freestyle coming out off campus needs to change to be consistent with all of our campuses, but there will be ways to have parents on campus. I know that will happen. We've said that will happen. It will happen. You know, it's the data. I keep hearing this ask for data. I will tell you that the risk of something happening on our campuses is not 0%. And that's enough for me to say, I will listen to an expert that tells me what to do about security. I will listen. The risk is not 0%. So I will continue to listen to experts, and we as a community will figure this out together. I have confidence. I can trust that our staff will make sure that no student feels unsafe walking from the gate to their classroom, just as they are supervised during recess or walking to the library or anytime they're walking about on campus without parents there all day. I assure you that I'm grateful we are teaching students how to talk about their feelings so they can express in their own words how they're feeling. I will ask you to move if you cannot contain yourself. This is not your time. Again, I am grateful that our teachers and students are learning how to talk about their feelings so they can tell us how they're feeling, if it is unsafe, if it's scared. We will have parents brought into that discussion as we always have, and those students will be accommodated as needed. They will be taken care of. I know that they will all feel supported, loved, and yes, safe on campus. That is what we are here to do for them. In other news, moving on, I am grateful for the gala that came together last week at the hard work of our Ed Foundation, supporting our district widely, broadly, and happily. It was a beautiful evening of coming together as community and celebrating all that we do and all the effort we have to move forward together. I enjoyed participating in a panel for El Camino College architecture students. They were crafting concepts for Center Street School under the guidance of their professor and El Segundo resident, Mark Yaber. And I'm sure those students got more useful comments from another board member who also participated in that, as he can tell you in his report. I was pleased to attend Civics Day Part 2. There were awesome presentations by our senior class in the City Council chambers. Well done again, Mr. Gast, for teaching the future generations firsthand how they can meaningfully and cooperatively serve their communities. Well done, and very hopeful for the future. I attended the Center Street School PTA end-of-year celebration and new board installation. Amazing group of parent leaders that we have there, making awesome things happen on campus for students, parents, and teachers alike. Excited to see what they do next year. I did enjoy the Climate Club Trash and Show at the high school. That was quite creative, and I love, again, the environmental thinking and just the passion that the students brought to that event. I hope that continues, and I'll be sure to support it in future renditions. I was honored to join some of my fellow board members at 2 of the 3 awesome volleyball CIF championships that we were lucky to host in town. So great for the team and the school. Such spirit in that room. Congratulations to all the players and coaches on that. And just the last thing I'll mention, there was a post about this, but in case you guys don't read all the social media that some of us do, I did get elected to serve on the Los Angeles County School Trustees Board of Directors, which ideally gives El Segundo more presence in our small but mighty role here in the school board world. So I look forward to representing us and working with our colleagues across the county to do the best we can for our students here in Los Angeles. So thank you for your time, and I hope everyone has an enjoyable 3-day weekend.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Ed Foundation for a wonderful event and all the effort and volunteerism that goes into that. Thank you to the ESMS PTA for all the amount of money that they've given to the district and for the teachers, and Sheila Miller and still Cheryl Smith, who's now completely transporting her services over to the high school. So thank you. And I'd like to thank a special student, and I had her phonetically spell her name so I could get it right. Abaya Alukar, who is going to be an 8th grade student, has volunteered to be the historian for the PTA middle school. And so we have a student representative there. That's a lot of commitment. So thank PTSA, yes. And so thank you to her for that. So it's going to be a little bit, guys, so bear with me. First, I'd like to thank everyone that came this evening to give their opinions on the hardening of the campus at Center Street. I'd like to make it clear that my opinions are not those of my fellow board members, although we found consensus to put students, teachers, and administrators and staff at our schools first in unanimously voting to harden the campus at Center Street. I've not heard a single piece of factual data that would allow me not to take the advice of a safety expert that agrees with the normalized and pragmatic approach of mitigating threat and increasing the safety of our stakeholders at our campuses. Fences, gates, locked doors, and hardened access points factually increase the safety of stakeholders on a campus. Like I said before, Anyone willing to die in the process can commit grievous acts of violence on others. Other communities like ours thought they were immune because of community standards or because they thought it couldn't happen or maybe some type of magic. Well, ask the communities that faced tragedy if they thought it would happen at their schools. Unfortunately, no school district is immune any longer. I'm sure the schools this happened at didn't think their school was at risk. Second, I cannot be dismayed at the level of politics being inserted into this very simple question for us as board members. Are we going to keep our schools safe? In 1969, Tinker v. Des Moines, the Supreme Court used the words schoolhouse gates. They didn't distinguish rights of students and teachers at the classroom door, but the schoolhouse gate. It is where our liability begins and parents stop. Parents don't share in the liability of the district, and access to classrooms is public, but there's a process to be there. It has always been common practice that elementary, middle, and high schools have been secured by gates, fences, and doors to keep those that would victimize children out. What I'm truly dismayed about is that people are making this political. A former school board candidate posting about access and the denial of parent educational rights, I'm offended because if you can't see the motivation for leading the charge, then you're naive. This is the most politically opportunistic election stunt I've ever been privileged to witness. To equate or deny the safety of students as politics is shameful. As a board member, I'll address this the same way I did when community members made DEI a political question. There's no place for politics when it comes to our students and their well-being. And this is political when we end up on national PragerU. The community members are simply wrong to advocate an unfettered access to one of our campuses as political and not about safety. Third, no policy is denying access to parents. Even open campuses have requirements for who can be on them. What is your purpose? As a faculty member and coach on 2 different districts, I have to enter and exit school from hardened access points. I wear a badge to identify myself. If parents want to enter campus, they can by presenting their ID at the access point so the administration can identify who is on campus. It is why we have a system to ensure that those that want to victimize students don't have access. This has to do with many different types of threats.
I'm going to ask you to pause for 1 second, please. I will give you an opportunity to speak. You can grab a blue card and you can come at the end, but I do ask that we extend common courtesy during this. If you have anything to say, we will give you the floor. You will be invited to speak for 3 minutes. I would like to request Member Wagner to continue. Thank you.
It's to ensure that those that want to victimize students don't have access. This has to do with many different types of threats. We are increasing the safety of the campus from all potential violence, not just gun violence. For us as school board and district to not act legally through this policy would be negligent. And the same advocates wanting to open campus would be the first to call us out on it if something happened. I find it to be hypocritical for anyone that says fences don't work, that locks their doors, or has a fence around their own property to keep their family safe. I understand that parents want to have social interactions with their kids, teachers, and other parents, but there's always a context of proper time and place. To equate not having this social dynamic with detrimental emotional outcomes for students is outrageous and without foundation. Our other campuses do not suffer more emotionally because of hardened access points. In fact, the same social dynamic happens outside the fence and inside the school with parents wearing visitors badges. Again, there isn't a piece of factual data I've been presented that would not allow me to increase the safety of our campus at Center Street at this time. It isn't a political issue on policy, and to make it such denies the very stakeholders we are trying to keep safe from being safe. I'll hold the line, and the line is at the gate. There is no place for politics when it comes to our students. Thank you.
Our El Segundo High School PTSA is wrapping up a fun-filled and action-packed year under the leadership of the dynamic Cheryl Smith. with the installation of the new executive board and chairs for the 2023-2024 school year. 2 students will be inducted onto the executive board, with a further 7 students taking on roles of event and activity chairs. The El Segundo High School choir will be on hand to teach everyone the alma mater. That should be very interesting. The installation is in the El Segundo High School cafeteria at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and dinner will be served, so I hope many of you can make it. The goal of the PTSA is to provide more engagement opportunities for the campus. All PTSA members received a survey requesting insights and suggestions for what is working and what can be improved upon for the new school year. PTSA looks forward to continuing the support of our students, teachers, administrators, and parents next year. Since our previous board meeting, it seems like we were doing something every day. I started off, we had the final meeting of the year of the Environment Committee. The primary topics we discussed were the creation of a habitat for the blue butterfly at ESMS, environmentally conscious tips for the summer to go in the newsletters, and the soon-to-arrive sorting bins for El Segundo Middle School and El Segundo High School. As Tracy mentioned, on Friday the 12th, students from the El Camino Community College first-year architecture class presented their schemes for reimagining the outdoor spaces at Center Street School. The students created age-appropriate designs for outdoor learning spaces, responding to the environmental and ecological challenges and opportunities. We had community members, faculty, and even some elementary students included on the review panel. I was delighted to be able to attend both the ESTA Fiesta honoring our teachers of the year and retirees, and also the district employee appreciation event at ESMOA. Both were fabulous events. Along with the other school board members, I was excited to be able to support our El Segundo High School boys volleyball team at their 3 regional playoff games in the South Gym. The series culminated in a stunning comeback from being down 2 games to 1 to take the title from Torrey Pines. On Thursday, I attended the Trashin' Show in the South Quad at ESHS. The theme of the show was reimagining fashion through the use of recycled materials. The stunning winning entry was fashioned out of yellow copy paper that was sourced at on site. It was truly a fabulous outfit. On Friday night, I attended the Ed Foundation Gala, where fashion prevailed over trashin', and everyone looked amazing. The gloomy weather seemed to let up for a moment to provide us with a perfect night for celebrating our schools. The highlight of the evening was a check presentation by Chevron, and it's down below us here, in the amount of $400,000 to ESUSD for STEM programs. To date, Chevron has now donated in excess of $5 million to ESUSD. Last night, I attended the presentation on substance abuse and the developing brain presented by Dr. Barbara Veit at the El Segundo High School Library. Dr. Veit's presentation took us right down to the molecular level to show us the impact of all types of addictive drugs and their impact on the brain. The big takeaway from the presentation is to talk to our kids from an early age about the negative consequences of drug use. The presentation will be made available through ESHS for those who could not make it. Addressing the Center Street access for parents. Thank you to the parents and community members on both sides of the debate who've reached out to the board, and those of you who have spoken tonight and will speak later. The truth of the matter is that we are all committed to the same priority: the safety of our students and staff. We only differ on the best way to achieve this. One of the speakers earlier, Chelsea, mentioned win-win, and that's what we all want. We want safety and we want parental involvement. We want a win-win out of this. The board voted unanimously to adopt the recommendations of our security consultant. It is now incumbent on the district on how to implement those recommendations. Any attempt to ascribe ulterior motives to the board action or present our action in another way are at best misguided and at worst purely provocative. Thank you.
Okay, so as an educator, May has always been one of my absolute favorite months of the year because May is about celebration. It's about celebration. That's what we do in the education realm. And I have been honored to celebrate a lot here the last couple days. All of us, all 5 of us, were invited to the ESTA, which is the El Segundo Teachers Association, fiesta, where there was a lot of just hanging out together and having a good time. And then we honored all of the teachers of the year and the retirees as we did this evening. The gala was spectacular on Friday night. Miss Wheaton's yellow dress was even better than the one at the Trashin' Show. I have to say, it was also spectacular. I was honored to be at the PTA Council installation dinner, where we welcomed Heather Sutherland as our new president. She is going to do absolutely amazing things, just like she did at Center Street. The ESMOA, the first of hopefully many, many appreciation days for our teachers, was held by the district at ESMOA. In lieu of a PD, we brought all of our teachers together as appreciation and celebrated again because it's May and it's about the celebration. Civics Day, wow. Mr. Gass did an absolutely amazing job preparing these kids, and the presentations that they did were spectacular. Even better than the lasagna that he served us for lunch, although it was pretty close. The Trashin' Show was a hit. There were several of us there who got to vote on the winner, and it was amazing. I would like again to congratulate the volleyball team. I too got to attend a couple of the games. I missed a few of the games on the final, but I was there for the end, and that's all that really matters. And I wish I'd been there for swimming. As a former swimmer in high school and then later a coach for 13 years of swimming, that one's a little bit close to my heart, and I love watching our kids perform at that level. The vaping program last night was super informative, and as a science teacher, the information that she gave us was, I didn't even know what word to use. She was amazing. I hope if you didn't get a chance to go last night to the presentation, that you will take the time once it's posted to go through the presentation. because the information that she gave on dopamine and the how addiction happens was just crazy and so informative. And then, we just saw the calendar, and I am so looking forward to the next 2 weeks. Scholarship night at the high school, where our seniors are going to be awarded thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. The Women's Club is going to throw a potluck for their winners of the scholarships, which I will also attend the 4.0 brunch, which I'm very excited about. And of course, the promotions and graduations, which I've always attended middle school and high school, but getting to be on the stage this year is okay. For all the 8th graders out there that got to see me cry at Arlington, because I always tell them I don't cry, I'm afraid that's not going to happen at graduation.
Excellent, thank you. So thank you to my fellow board members who talked about all of the events that we've attended. It has been a busy May. I'll run down, but I will spare you all the details, but just the events attended was the Fiesta El Segundo Teachers Association event, Civics Day, the El Segundo Teachers or ESUSD Teachers Appreciation or Teachers and Staff Appreciation event, the ESMS PTSA Installation Dinner, the Center Street Installation Dinner, the Trash and Show, the Governor's Workshop, the Boys Volleyball Tournament, the Ed Gala, and thank you again to Chevron for the $400,000 check that is presented here, and the vaping presentation. I do want to say some parting words to Natalie. I know we all had a chance to say something to you earlier, but briefly I'll say, whether it's in the operating room or your very own boardroom, you will do well. You have great presence, your composure, everything that you need to succeed, because you are able to present yourself in a manner that will help you do well. I thank you for your time here. I thank you for allowing me to get to know you prior to you being here, and it truly has been a blessing to serve with you. With that being said, I do want to address the parents that have stuck around and those who had to leave because they have family obligations, and those who will be watching when this is posted later. I want to acknowledge that there's a lot of passion, and I respect that. One thing that I will say, and that you will hear me repeat time and time again, is that if you cannot exercise your passion when it comes to your kids, when can you exercise it? So I will tell you, when you come into this room, when you share your words, even if it's something that I'm like, ooh, at the moment that may have hurt, I'm going to always look at you, and I'm always going to extend respect, and I'm always going to extend grace. I'm not going to take it personal, because I know that I was here. I am sitting here because I am the person that you are to bring this to. We all are. That doesn't mean that some of the things that we have seen and heard are not representative of the truth. However, we are a community, and we can agree to disagree, but one thing we will continue to do is move forward together. We will work together, and I appreciate you. And even I know I had to stop the meeting for a second to say, hey, if you want to be heard, I'll give you that space. The beautiful thing about our community, and I'll state that again in case you really want to take it in, is the beautiful thing about our community is that we are a community. Above all, that doesn't mean that I have to agree with you, you have to agree with me, we have to see eye to eye, but we are neighborly. I remember years ago I got into an accident, a little fender bender right in front of Kumon. And I went home and I told my friend, I said, that was the friendliest accident I ever got into. Because it was like, oh, I'm sorry. And I didn't even, at the end of the day, I didn't even want to take his insurance. I did, but I didn't want to because I was like, dang, he was so nice. Usually it doesn't work like that. And that's the thing that I have enjoyed about being in this community. I was a bit nervous about going to the Ed Gala because I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the time where, things could come up. And there are people that I've seen that are in this room and it was like, it's not personal. And I was like, it's not personal. It is. That's community. You don't get that anywhere else. You get that here. So we will get through this. We will stick together. We will disagree about something else in the future. But at the end of the day, our El Segundo community will be added. Another word will be added. It will be the El Segundo community family, because at the end of the day, that's what we have. I will leave you with one other thing, and then I will pass it on to our last statement for our student board representative. But the last thing I want to say is this. Tonight, it was beautiful to see you all in red coming together, because it shows that you guys have, I guess, conversed in some way and said, this is what we're doing, and you were here. And to even have a child speak, it was beautiful. I'll tell you, today was special for me within my home, because it is my husband and my son's birthday. They share a birthday. And as I sat here, I looked up and I saw my husband in one of the seats because he chose to be here tonight. And I'll tell you that this job that we serve and we are not compensated for, nor are we even asking to be compensated for, it's a family affair. Our families are impacted by it as well, because we give time. All these events we read, that means that we were away from our family serving this community. So if you think for any reason we have taken this role to spite anyone, that's not the case. I'm always available. We all are. Our information is on the website. You are free to email us, to speak to us. All I ask is this. Remember the community that we're in. Say whatever you want from your heart. Extend respect with it. And even if you don't, guess what? We will respect you back. I can say for myself, I will respect you back, not because of this role as a school board member, because of the integrity that I have for myself, the value that I have, and most importantly, because I'm thankful to be in this community. Thank you. Natalie.
Alrighty. Well, I just want to thank you guys all for your kind words. That really touched me. Each and every one of you guys have had a great impact on my life. I remember meeting with Dr. Moore for the first time, and she discussed my role as a student representative. And I initially assumed I would just sit at the meetings and just, report, do the usual. But throughout the year, I feel that I've transformed as a person, and I believe that I've grown to become an asset on the board. And while I still do get a little bit nervous speaking in front of all you accomplished individuals, I can confidently say that I've done my very best to represent El Segundo High School better than I could have ever imagined. And additionally, I've gained some life skills on the way, all because of you guys. I've learned to be punctual. to always dress the part. That when you look your best, you can be your best. And most importantly, I've learned empathy and compassion. I must admit that I've walked away from some of these meetings feeling a bit discouraged, but each of these meetings were stepping stones and lessons learned that have all led me here. They've allowed me to be confident within myself, and that my voice matters and that student voices matter. I'm grateful that not only you guys have allowed me to speak at these meetings, but encouraged me to speak at these meetings and share my voices and opinions on behalf of the student body. I hope that as everyone reconvenes next school year, we can be a little bit more compassionate towards our teachers, students, board members, and community members. Understand that we are all doing our best to be our best. If we all work together, that I am certain our school district will thrive. And with that, I'm happy to announce I will be attending CU Boulder in the fall, and I will be majoring in biology, continuing my passion for science. I'm once again thankful for each and every one of you, and I hope you know that these board meetings have been some of the most pivotal moments in my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to section 9C, Superintendent's Report.
Okay, you crushed it, Natalie. That was amazing. Fierce, just fierce. So I too want to just express my appreciation to the individuals who came out this evening to share their genuine and sincere perspectives with us during public comments. And just as the board shared this evening, I stand with you. Thank you for extending your grace and respect to the members of the public who came this evening. And I ask that as members come forward in the future or as they're listening to comments from the board, that you extend that same respect back to those who you elected. I also want to share at our next board meeting, June 13th, we have our PTA report. So all of our unit presidents will be coming to share their reports. We just missed out being able to get our boys volleyball team here, but they will hopefully be here, as many as we can get, on June 13th to recognize them for their extraordinary accomplishment as athletes. And like several of you this evening, it was absolutely mind-blowing to watch those students play. It was what everything great about athletics allows students to do, because they worked as a team and not as an individual. And I saw the board doing that this evening as well, working as a team. So that was a beautiful sight to see as well. And then we'll have Ms. Janicek and Ms. Linz up for LCAP and budget. That concludes my remarks.
All right, so now we'll move to section 10A, and that is oral communication from the audience. If you have a card, this is the time to present it. And first up, we'll call Cynthia Canino.
Oh, okay. Good evening, and thank you for having me, allowing me to speak tonight. The first thing I'll say is, as Ben Franklin wisely said, the willingness to sacrifice freedom for security, those who do it deserve neither. I believe that what we're seeing right now is not about safety at all, but rather control. The ability to lock our kids in schools all day gives an opportunity that I don't think is appropriate. I'm surprised that the RSS parents have allowed for it this long. What I'm going to say is I want to address really the parents, and I hope that they'll listen. This is something that you need to understand, because these people do not serve you. They serve the state. They serve an agenda that's not about the kids' safety. And then when you leave your kids in the custody of the schools, the school has custody of your children, and you may be denied access to them, at any time that things change, and they will change. This is a slippery slope. As parents, your voices have been ignored, your importance is being diluted, and your rights are being unrecognized by this district. And this is not unusual to our little community. It seems, everyone's excited and up in arms about it, but it's really happening statewide. This is not unusual. These people have been here, they're here to, push down an agenda that's been predetermined, and, they've given you the theater of having the opportunity to take a survey that they never intended to honor, regardless of the way it went. They hoped that their platitudes and, and all these fancy words would sway you to provide them the survey response that they wanted. Having not provided that wasn't going to make a difference, because these gates are already all locked. And the intention was always to lock the schools down. And this is just happening, at the end of the year, like last year. This is a school that didn't lock down when there was a SWAT incident a block and a half away from a grammar school, where kids were outside having events at the end of the year. Just at this time last year, we had a SWAT incident. Nobody closed the school. So this isn't about safety. This is something else.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have for the record. Okay. Next, we have for the record Wendy Bosch, and this is the second card. And Wendy, when you come up, can you confirm that you submitted 2 cards, please, for the record?
Yes, I confirmed 2 cards.
Thank you.
Thank you, and sorry for the mix-up.
No problem at all. Just wanted to confirm for the record, since when I held it up, we couldn't see it. Thank you.
This has been fun to be here, and I just wanted to say that, and I really enjoyed learning about the wellness centers, so thank you for that. I appreciate you all. I appreciate what you do. Okay. Daima, I really appreciate your words, and I just want to say that. They're always from the heart, and I appreciate your respect. Sorry, I'm just trying to, I think I just had a couple more points, and I know it's different than what Michael thought, which is okay, but for me, my daughter did really benefit, and to me, this is actually a mental health issue. And I am sad that I feel that we're missing the mark in seeing that, for my family, that this is a mental health issue. You all know that we're in a mental health crisis in the U.S. I don't need to tell you that. It starts young. Hindering an anxious child's social life or a neurodivergent child's social experience, I believe, is more harmful and dangerous for that child than parents picking them up on campus. And these aren't what ifs. It's a reality. It's a reality for my family, and I believe children will be deprived of the social opportunities that our special community at Center Street has provided them for so many years. For some of these kids, their social and emotional development will be affected. I have a fellow Center Street friend who said, in regards to this one safety recommendation, I thought she put it well, the human factor is being left behind, which is so detrimental to us all. No amount of studies will factor in that rich layer of community that is built for those of us who walk our kids in. So I am humbly asking the board to, if you can, change direction on this one policy. Safety is so important to me. It is so important to everyone, and all the other policies I think are so essential, as I said before. I'm asking you to realize how much better off our kids are with the parents from their classes interacting. I'm asking you to realize how much your decision will affect certain kids' mental health. I'm asking you to realize that eliminating this special small community outside the classroom is, I believe, more harmful to their emotional well-being. We want kids and staff to thrive by feeling safe, and my child would not have thrived with a strict policy in place. And I am speaking out because I care so much for future Center Street kids and families. So I am going to still ask to reverse that one policy. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next, we have Annie Harvelix. Please forgive me and help me pronounce your last name.
That's okay. Thank you, board members, for your tireless work to make El Segundo a great and safe school district. My name is Dr. Annie Harvillas. Good enough. And my son is a TK student at Center Street. I implore the board to reconsider keeping parents off the Center Street campus during drop-off and pickup. As Center Street parents, we appreciate your desire to keep our campus safe. However, we feel safest when we can take our children to the classrooms. Keeping us out will actually have the opposite effect you intend. Here are some considerations. No parent has ever been the instigator of mass violence on school campuses. Parents are here to help. They're not the problem. Drop-off and pickup is currently the safest time of day in our eyes because we have a community of eyes and ears making sure everyone is safe. Crowding people at the gate and crowding the children in the courtyard is creating the perfect scenario for a violent criminal to act. They prefer to have us together in large groups. Center Street's children include 4 and 5-year-olds who, as other people have said, need social and emotional guidance. They're just learning how to greet people, speak to peers. They need their parents to help create positive interactions. The shy and frightened children will struggle. Myself and other parents have witnessed verbal and physical bullying before entering the classroom. As we're waiting outside the classroom, we have seen episodes of minor bullying happening. And as parents, we're able to redirect those interactions. Positive interactions with parents help redirect negative interactions with peers. We need daily parental involvement. A decrease in parental involvement and a sense of community will lead to more mental illness. Parents and students will have more anxiety. Therefore, teachers and administrators will have more work and more anxiety. Who's going to be sure my son isn't picked up by somebody besides me at the gate? I've never had that concern this year when picking him up at the classroom. Center Street is a large campus. Richmond Street is mostly one large building. Dropping off is an entirely different situation. The gate for TK kids at Richmond Street is right in front of the classroom that they enter. It's literally like you let them in the gate and they go right to the classroom. It's entirely different at Center Street. So I don't think we should compare what happens at Center Street with everything that happens in other schools in the El Segundo district. The middle school and the high school students are older. They don't need help. The young students, they need help, and they look to their parents for that help. Center Street is unique and should not be treated the same as the other El Segundo schools. Lastly, people need to be heard, or they will become disheartened and apathetic. The majority want to keep a safe gate open, and you should acknowledge the desires of your
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Addis Brumman.
They were scared too the first time they went up there.
Yes.
It's okay, they're just your friends. She's okay, thanks.
Next, we have Christine Johnson.
Good evening, School Board. I wanted to thank you guys for giving us the additional time to voice our concerns. So I'm going to keep this really short and sweet, okay? I'm a Center Street School alumni. I'm not going to tell you how long ago I went to Center Street, but I'm a Center Street School alumni. I lost my mom very unexpectedly 7 weeks ago. She passed away, okay? She was an integral part of my childhood, and she attended all of the school activities that I did. And I have 4 other siblings, and she lived at Center Street School. She was constantly there, picking us up, taking us to school, picking us up. And a parent that had spoken before me had stated that drop off in the mornings is about 5 to 10 minutes. Pick up in the afternoons is about 5 to 10 minutes. Having that additional time in your children's life is so incredibly vital. And I'm so grateful that I had that with my mom, okay? And please don't take that away from the kids or their parents. If I can say anything to you guys, just consider that thing, that little extra bit of time each day that a parent can be with their child and a child can be with their parent. That's very vital. And just please, your constituents voted for you guys. We have put faith in you guys. Please listen to your constituents. I know I respect you guys, and I know you guys are trying your hardest. I really do. But please listen to your constituents. And we have faith in you. And we all voted for you. So please continue. And I do agree with you, Ms. Wien. We need to work together as a community and support each other. But I'm just, as you go home tonight, please just consider, the extra time that is so vital with your children, whether it's something you think as silly as just, they're just dropping their kid off or taking them to the classroom or vice versa. No, those things are things that kids remember in their childhood as they grow up to become adults. And really, there is no safer place than with your parents, really. So I thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Carolyn Knott. Let the record reflect this is your second card. When you get to the mic, please acknowledge that this is your second card.
This is my second card, I
Thank
swear
you.
to God. Okay. I just think that we can be respectful, but I will never give up my right to have a different opinion than someone else. My life experience has been my life experience. I was a social worker for many years. I've raised 3 kids, and what I am opposed to is you bringing up ideology when this board has swallowed each and every piece of woke ideology that's been offered it. Whether it's queer theory, transgenderism, radical critical theory, tearing down our country, making our kids hate America, being critical of capitalism, being critical of others' civil rights. We parents are not willing to give up our civil rights. SEL is another political ideology that you guys have swallowed whole. I don't know if you're ignorant or if you're mean or if you're evil, but SEL collects data on all of our kids and then sells it to the highest bidder. Is that really what you want? 18 years of data on our kids being sold to the highest bidder? That's woke ideology. The safety report that I read in PDF form said nothing about parents. Nothing. It said to limit ingress. And you guys took that and went a step farther and applied it to parents. So don't say it's about the safety report. Safety is a cost-benefit analysis. It's not just be as safe as you can, or we would have metal detectors at every school site. We would have backpack checks every morning. We would have pocket searches. I mean, There has to be a cost-benefit analysis, and this is costing community. This is costing families. And if you can't see that, then I don't think you're open to looking. We don't want you to trust your leaders. Tracy says all the time, I trust the teachers, I trust Melissa Moore, I trust. Well, no, we hired you, we elected you to think for yourselves. Have a thought. Think different than someone else. Be responsible. I don't want to show my kids that I swallow ideas whole. I talk to them about what I think and what other people think. And thank God they weren't in your schools for all of their education. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next, we have Kevin Siegel.
Good evening. My name is Kevin. I usually stay out of this because we can usually trust you guys to make the right decision. Clearly, you made a wrong decision. It's apparent by how many people are showing up at these meetings, and it even reflected in your survey. 60 to 40 is a big difference. Now, you talk about respect. You are not respecting us by going against what we are wishing. We are only going to get louder and louder until this changes. We're not arguing about the gates. We're not arguing about the entry points. We're arguing about you saying you cannot come in here anymore. You know, these are our children. We only get these years for maybe 2 years. And then they get old enough where they don't want to hold our hands. And they become little adults. You know, that's what you're taking from us. I don't know if you guys see that. Okay? You talk about proof, Mr. Wagner. You want evidence? The chick in Tennessee walked right through the front door. Okay? What stopped her? Nothing. But that 10 minutes when we get to drop our kids off, I want every beating heart on that campus to fight if it were to come to that. Okay, how do you not see that? It's pretty simple. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next, we have Chris Hall. Let the record reflect this is the second card. When you get to the mic, please acknowledge that this is the second card.
What if I don't acknowledge it? No, it's good. Yes, just a little levity. It is my second card. Oh, they started on me. I wrote down what I thought the first time. Now I'm just swinging it, so we'll see how this goes. There are a lot of frustrated people here tonight, both in here and I imagine up there as well. Certainly there's a political element that seems to be materializing, but that doesn't mean that's most or all of us or even the core of this. Certainly someone's always going to look for a chance to capitalize on people's frustration, but most of us are just here because we want what's best for our community. And at this point, what I would say, you talk about respect and partnership in a community, I think this is different than all the other scenarios that you've put forth. It's kind of like a consent agenda. It's on the menu, and then if no one says anything, we go with it, right? So you want to build fences, we're like, I don't know, it's just fine, right? You want to start this, it's just fine. We let it go. No one comes, no one complains. You've never had anyone come in and do a whole thing about it. But now you have. Now there is someone saying, hey, look, I know that we're supposed to agree with everything you think, but right now we don't. And when that happens, I think the burden of proof flips. The burden of proof flips not to us to prove to you that this is wrong, but to you to prove to us that it's worth acting against our votes. If you proved to me that we were going to save a kid every year by pulling parents off campus, we'd all leave immediately and argue in favor of it. No one is here suggesting that we don't want our kids to be safe or that we're ignoring the expert. We're simply suggesting the expert hasn't provided any evidence. You want to talk about evidence? Sure. Okay, the worst year for active shooters on campus is 2018. There were 11. 135,000 schools, it's a 1 in 12,000 chance. 1 in 12,000. It's not zero. It's not zero, but it rounds to zero. And what we do know is that every single other day, where there wasn't a shooting, there's a community being built. So you haven't proven, by the way, but also no parent has ever been the shooter. No one's ever snuck on campus, ever, during a pickup or drop-off. So we're literally creating a scenario that's never occurred, then we're multiplying that times a 1 in 12,000 chance, and we're saying that that outweighs community concern. And I would suggest that Dave Klug probably has better data. I assume this is a professional, purportedly. Ask him to provide that. That's all not all of us are suggesting, so we're suggesting a lot more radical things. That's all I'm suggesting, right? Is simply suggesting that I think that burden of proof does fall on him, right? 28 grand the first time, this time 100 something thousand the last time, whatever we paid him, 7 million in upgrades, all the money that's been spent in time and effort. Prove out that this is a real recommendation. Prove out that this is actually a cost-benefit analysis has been done, and I'm happy to flip sides. I'll get up here and tell them they're all wrong. But for now, what you're telling me is your vote doesn't matter. We asked your opinion, and then we ignored it. We didn't really care about it, and we can't prove to you that you're wrong, so we're just going to do it anyway. That, to me, feels not like a partnership, not like respect, but like disrespect.
Thank you. And the last card of the evening. Thank you. And the last card of the evening is Sarah Lee.
You guys, everyone thought we were closing on that. Here I am. Oh my God. Okay. This is my first card. I'm here. All right. Thank you all for hearing all of us out. We do appreciate your time. Okay. So I'll go a little bit into myself and then just in general. My kid is a COVID kid, as a lot of these kids are. He's currently in TK. He had a really rough start to school, being separated from family. He was with us, 24/7 inside the house and not making eye contact with anybody, to now in a school, being separated from family. The drop-off situation was a little bit rocky. Every day he's been getting better. He's confident walking into class. It's awesome to see him grow like that. But some things will kind of throw him off. Something in the schedule changes. If a sub is there, he gets very, very, very nervous. A lot of times the subs don't introduce themselves, and so we go through this whole process of having him say hi, and they exchange names to hopefully get him comfortable. Sometimes he's just not, and he starts to lose it, and he starts to cry, and it takes 5 minutes of us crouching over to the side and doing deep breaths to kind of get back in the zone and talk through what those next steps are going to be like when he walks into the classroom on his own. Now, it terrifies me that I'm not going to be there for that when it happens next year. I'm going to leave him at the gate. He potentially is going to be crying, or maybe he's not. Maybe he walks confidently into his class and there's a sub and something throws him off. And I don't think a sub is going to necessarily have the time or have the understanding of who he is as a person to work him through that. And that scares me. What does that do to, like you had mentioned earlier, what does that do to his social and emotional development? How is my 5-year-old or any other child in that situation expected to learn and thrive in that situation? Now, I know everybody here has a story. Every child's unique. Every family's different. But we all know what a difference family can make in any situation, especially for these little ones, but really anybody who may need it. And yeah, someone else also mentioned, parents drop off and pick up may be the only time that they can potentially experience anything in regards to school. They may not have the time to take off from work to, take part in volunteer efforts or whatnot. And then the other thing that was mentioned that I think is huge is compromise. Like safety, yes, safety is number one, but also our children are number one. And is there a compromise? Okay, if the gates are closing, what does that mean? Can we have a badge system where we can badge in, we can show Mr. Kyle our card, and then we can walk our children into school? Because I'll tell you, I'm going to just walk through that front office, scan my ID, and walk him into class. And I feel like every parent's going to potentially do that if maybe we don't come up with some other plan. And I know that I'm hoping there are other ideas on the table and you're working through some things, but.
Thank you. At this time, we do not need to recess to closed session, at 8:31. I will adjourn the meeting.